Hi, guys. Welcome back for another episode of Page 3 Killers Headline Minis. And this is episode 4. Wow, I can't believe we're already 4 episodes into our headline minis. So, if you guys have been keeping up, we've talked about Dr. Harold Shipman and we've talked about the bombing of the USS Cole, as well as the Golden Dragon Massacre, which were all great, interesting headline news stories that stole basically the headlines for all of our crimes episodes. So, this week, I wanted to talk about the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Now, this was really interesting. This predates 9/11, which happened on 2001 on September 11th. I think everybody pretty much remembers that one. But a lot of people, I realized, didn't know about this one because they either weren't born yet or they were too young to remember it. I sort of remember this happening, but I mean, I was only like 5 or 6 years old when this happened. So it really wasn't as big on my radar as what I would think now after having witnessed 9/11. So this was a bombing attack on the World Trade Center North Tower on February 26th of 1993 when a truck bomb detonates in the parking garage below the North Tower of the World Trade Center. And this bomb was around 1,500 pounds of explosives that was intended to basically topple the North Tower, causing it to crash into the South Tower, which was Tower number 2, and bring both towers down. And the plan was that they would kill tens of thousands of people. So basically, this attack was engineered to kill at least 50,000 people, because that's how many people were evacuated from the buildings that day after the explosion basically racked the foundation of the trade centers. Now, this bombing failed to accomplish what their goal was and really was a learning curve for them. So this was an Al Qaeda planned bombing led by Ramzi Youssef, and it killed around 6 people, including a 1 pregnant woman, and it injured between 1,000 to 1,500 people. Now, this was basically planned by a group of men, much like the 9/11 attack was. Now, the main guy in all of this is Ramzi Youssef. He is the organizer. His uncle, Khalid Muhammad, basically financed the entire operation. And his uncle was even has been accredited as a principal architect of the September 11th attacks. In researching this, I found some very interesting information. I mean, you found out in the investigation that was done by the government and the New York FBI and all of that, they basically found that, this was planned between 1991 and 1993. And Ramzi Youssef had attended a Al Qaeda training camp in Afghanistan prior to coming to the United States in 1991, when he started planning the attack. He was involved in a car accident. They found that he ordered the chemicals from his hospital room, and he was in the hospital because of a car crash that one of his co-conspirators had caused. And this guy apparently was in like 2 or 3 car accidents between 1992 and 1993. So, I mean, it's just insane. Like, these guys weren't quiet about anything that they were doing, When they started, going into these guys' homes, they were finding all of this bomb making materials, bomb making books. They found ammunition, guns, and it was like kind of crazy. Like I believe the count was like 1,440 rounds of ammunition. So that's like what that's 1,440 rounds for a Lance 200426. Not sure what that's for. But yeah, so they basically found these manuals and ammunition and bomb making supplies in every single one of the apartments that they went into, and I believe one of them was like in New Jersey. It was kind of crazy, like just the amount of stuff that they found that went into the planning of these two of this attack. And like I said, this is a test run for a 9/11. I mean, I'm sure they planned it to be as efficient as they could, an attack, and it just didn't work. After they had done it, they would learn from this, and they would then try, what they did on September 11th, which was planes. So they found that this didn't work, and I believe it was mainly because the explosion failed to take out main supports for the building. So they took out minor supports for a few floors, and that was it. I do want to talk a little bit more about the attack itself. So Ramzi Youssef on that morning of February 26th, along with his Jordanian conspirator, drove a yellow Ryder van into Lower Manhattan. They pulled into the parking garage beneath the World Trade Center around noon. They parked in the underground B2 level. So that's the level that they parked on. And Yosef ignited a 20-foot fuse, and then they fled on foot. 20 minutes later, at 12:17 p.m., the bomb exploded in the underground garage, generating an estimated pressure of 150,000 psi. So that is insane, just the amount of pressure that this bomb put off, and the fact that it didn't do more damage than what it did is absolutely insane. So the bomb opened up a 100-foot wide hole through 4 sublevels of concrete and detonated. And the detonation velocity of the bomb was about 15,000 feet per minute, which is roughly 10,000 miles per hour. The initial news reports indicated a main transformer might have blown, increasing that, but they are not too sure about that. But that is just crazy. Just imagine that, just going through that. So the bomb instantly cut off the World Trade Center's main electrical power line, knocking out the emergency lighting system. The bomb caused smoke to rise to the 93rd floor of both towers, through the stairwells, and which were not pressurized stairwells. So usually now I believe there's doors in between floors that sort of contain and stop, that would stop that smoke, or anything from breaching those stairwells. So protecting more people now. So they had thick smoke filling the stairwells, that basically made evacuation very difficult for the occupants in the building. And I mentioned earlier that they evacuated around 50,000 people from both towers at the time. Now, there was hundreds that were trapped in elevators in the towers when the power got cut, which included a group of 17 kindergartners on their way down from the South Tower's observation deck. And they were trapped between the 35th and 36th floors for 5 hours. I did tell you 6 people were killed. 5 of them were Port Authority employees, one of whom was a pregnant woman, and a businessman whose car was in the parking garage. So those were our victims in this. And there was, they said, 1,000 people injured in the blast. And they were lucky they were able to evacuate everybody with minimal damage to people. So they were very lucky in this attack that we didn't have more casualties than were planned. As a result of the power loss, most of the New York City radio and television stations lost their power and could not broadcast signals for about a week. So television stations only were able to broadcast via cable and satellite via a microwave hookup between the stations and 3 of the New York area's largest cable companies, which was Comcast, I think Cablevision, and Time Warner Cable. So telephone services were also disrupted through all of lower Manhattan because of this. So I think all in all, as long as 50,000 people still lived, I think I would sacrifice being able to watch television for a week. Now, Yosef's plan, like I said, was to topple the North Tower, causing it to collapse the second tower. That did not happen, which is very lucky. Now, after the bombing, Yosef does make his way out of the country and heads to Pakistan. Several hours after the bombing, he is brought back to the United States sometime later and is sentenced in, I believe it was 1997 or 98 to the bombings, and he received a life sentence for that crime. This is like insane. Just some of the information that they found out about these guys, just, that they planned all of this in a over a 3-year span, and that somehow they still managed to fail miserably, is insane. It's kind of great for us that they did, because it would have been a much higher death toll than September 11th. But all said and done, it's both still tragic and really, really sad for everybody. So that is just the background information for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And I know you guys like when I do some longer episodes, but we're trying to keep these minis down to around 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes per. So I'm just going to give you guys the background information. And then if you guys have any other questions, I can always do a part 2 with more interesting facts on some of these news cases. But for right now, that is everything on the 1993 World Trade Center bombing by Ramzi Yousef. So if you guys want to hear any other news stories, or you got a topic that you want us to talk about on the podcast, just drop us a line. You can comment on the video, like, share, subscribe. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, and I believe we're going to be getting our Twitter up and running more, so you guys can reach out to us that way. You guys also can email me. Our email will be down in the comment section, or down in the episode description, so you guys can find that there. So if you guys want to hear anything special, you want me to do a shout out for you, just send me a message and I certainly will do that. Please like, share, subscribe, and as always, remember, stay sexy and don't get murdered.